Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy, what's today? Thursday, or happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I realize it's probably not a great day to do a stream. I mean, people probably have stuff to do, like, go out to dinner. I hope you all have bought your girlfriend some chocolates or some flowers or something. And there's really nothing sexy about college football. Well, actually, I think there's a lot sexy about it, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, you can see on the screen there, anybody is welcome to call in, talk about anything you want, but the subject I'm covering today, at least off of the phone lines, is 2019 hot seat coaches. And this is going to be the coaches that I think are most likely going to be on the hot seat after the 2019 season is over, or in the very worst case, maybe a few that are on the hot seat during the season if they go to a terrible start. Lose 3 games in a row or some stuff like that, and they fire him in the middle of the season. The list isn't as long this year as it normally is. Honestly, there's a ton of new coaches in the ACC. Listen, I don't think any of these first-year coaches are on the hot seat. I mean, no matter, even if they go, unless they don't win a single game, then most first-year coaches at a school, doesn't matter how bad they do, they're safe. Most second-year coaches are safe as well. Most. But there is the exception to that, and there's a couple on this list. And then what I'll do after I go through those is I'll name some honorable mentions. In other words, the future 2020 hot seat coaches that didn't make the 2019 list. And I think some of those you may find interesting as well. Before I get started and before I check the phone lines, what I do want to do real quick is make a couple of announcements. Tomorrow night, I'm planning on having Bad Dog 76, I think it's Mr. Bad Dog 7676, call in to the Pigskin Pete show at 9 p.m. He goes live with the entertainer talking sports at like 9:45, I think he said. So I should have him for 30 minutes. And so look forward to that. Unless something comes up between now and then, we're planning on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock right here on the Pigskin Pete YouTube channel. And so that'd be interesting. And he's one of the few YouTube guys that I can get on and talk about both NFL and college, because most YouTubers that do sports the way that we do it, they cover one sport mainly. That's their passion. He's a fan of both, so I can talk to him about the draft. I can talk to him about Oklahoma football. I can talk to him about the Giants, whatever. So looking forward to that. Everyone check in for that. Also, the Patreon contest. Anybody that signs up for Patreon between now and March 1st will be entered into the drawing for the $50 Visa card for the March drawing. So that's it. Let me check the, let me get out of this here real quick and see who's in here real fast. And then I'll go and check the call-in studio here. What is going on with this thing? I don't know why my chat is not showing up. Anyway, what is going on here? I hate when it does this crap. Anyway, I see Billy Dawson in here. Michael Sachs Jr. Good afternoon. The Crowing Cock. Roses are red, violets are blue. 3 Clemson players took PEDs and Dabo knew. Billy Dawson says Gus Mal's on it. Well, he's. I'll get to him, sir. Bradley Aaron says Willie Taggart. Ramon Jordan. What's good, Pete? What's up, Ramon? T says Dabo should be fired, but Clemson won't do that. Why would anybody fire Dabo Sweeney, sir? That's a ridiculous thing to say. And by the way, it's not going to happen either. You're right about that. I'll tell you what, man. There we go. It was user error, I think. Let me see if I missed anybody real quick, and then I'll check the phone lines. It might not be a very busy day on the phone. He got caught cheating. No, he didn't. 3 players got caught cheating. So we've been over this. Here, I'm going to redirect you to the video that I made, and then all you have to do is go check it out on your own. Read the article yourself, and then you can make your own determination, sir. But I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. What's up, vodka drinker? Jim Harbaugh, he says. All right, let me get into the. Call-in studio thing real quick and check and see if anybody's on the line. If so, I'll take a call. If not, I'll dive right into these hot seat coaches. All right, so nobody's on the line. So while I'm waiting for somebody to call, if somebody wants to call, feel free. And again, if you want to call, we don't have to talk about the hot seat coaches. You could just call and tell me how stupid I am if you want to. That's fine too. I'm used to that. All right. So number 1 on the hot seat coach list for 2019 or after 2019, none other than Clay Helton from the University of Southern California. Now, I know I have a few USC fans that comment on my videos every once in a while or come in my live streams every once in a while, and I think that they're getting a little bit impatient now. A lot of people thought that he was going to be fired at the end of this past season because USC was just not good, and USC should be running the Pac-12 with their name brand, with where they're located. They should be recruiting in the top 5 or 10 at the lowest every single year in, year out. They should be competing for the Pac-12 year in, year out, and they should be going and trying to make a run at the playoffs and at least win New Year's 6 bowl games every single year, and they're not doing that. And so the bar is set really high at USC. You could say, well, they've been bad for a while now. I get that, but it doesn't matter. When you wear that uniform or you go to coach at that university, the expectations are high, and Clay Helton is not really getting it done so far. So I think he's the number 1 guy. And, of course, all the jokes about Urban Meyer possibly coming out of retirement from his brain cyst or whatever it is, and he'll be the next coach of USC. I don't know. Who knows? I guess it's possible. Anything's possible. Looks like I got a caller on the line, so I want to put this hot seat coaches thing on the back burner for just a second, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up this call. Good afternoon, sir. You're on with Pigskin Pete. How can I help you? Or how can you help me? Is it more?
Hey, hey there, Pete. This is the Gamecock, and I love your show. Wanted to call in, and I wanted to talk about. Actually, do you follow college baseball at all?
No, I'll watch it. I'm not out of the 3 major sports, baseball is my least favorite. So I follow.
Yeah.
Obviously, football is the main thing I cover like all day, every day. But basketball, I do pay attention to that, particularly at this time of the year. Once we start getting close to March Madness, I start paying more and more attention to it. Baseball. I'll watch the College World Series, but you're not going to see me sitting around like on a Saturday afternoon watching a regular season college baseball game, So no.
Yeah, they're not usually broadcasted on ESPN, but I will talk about the hot seat now. Malzahn, I really don't see him leaving or him being fired anytime soon. Taggart might be, but I think they'll give him another couple of years just to test him out.
Okay.
I think the coach that mostly is going to be on the hot seat is maybe, I'd say, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I don't think Oklahoma State head coach. He's done some good things there, but ended up he hasn't done anything. They haven't been really relevant in the past 2-3 years. So
yeah, I don't see him being on the hot seat because now he may leave. That may be true. How long has he been there? He's been there a long time. And
it's been at least 12.
Yeah, the expectation in Oklahoma State isn't the same as some of these other universities where these coaches are, they're recycling coaches every 3 and 4 years. So they're okay sort of with him waiting 8 games a year, and he might have a good year where he wins 10 games, and they're okay with that. They don't have the expectation of winning the Big 12 every year and going to the playoff and that sort of thing. So I don't think they'll fire him. Now, unless they have some sort of abysmal season where they only win 4 games or something, they might run him out of town. But other than that, anything less than a complete disaster, I'd say he's going to stay there as long as he wants to stay there, pretty much, until he cuts that mullet.
I just wanted to talk to you. Nice to meet you, and I love your show. By the way, it's the Gamecock, and make sure y'all subscribe, guys. So thank you, Pete.
All right, man. Yeah, thank you for calling in. Have a good day, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there we have it, folks. There's the Crowing Cock, Gamecock fan, calling in, shows Pigskin Pete some love. He said a couple of names in there. Willie Taggart, I think was one of them he said. And what was the other one he said? I don't remember now. Well, he definitely said the guy from Oklahoma State. But anyway, so anyway, I'll move on. I started with Clay Helton, number 1. Just so happens I have Willie Taggart at number 2. Now, this is one of the rare cases, like I was saying before, usually a second-year coach will not be on the hot seat, even no matter how bad they are. But being that Willie Taggart missed a bowl game at Florida State for the first time in whatever it was since in 30-something years, if they go out there this year and either don't make a bowl game again or only win 6 games, they may not fire him, but I can guarantee you that there's going to be a lot of pressure to fire him coming from the Florida State fans down there in whatever the name of that place is in Florida. So I think Willie Taggart's definitely on that list. Number 3. Now this one I think that if he has a mediocre year, will be on the hot seat, but I don't agree that he should be. All right, so I just want to put that out there. So if you're a fan of this guy or this team, don't come at me in the comments section telling me, oh, we're not firing him, he's done this and he's done that. Great. I'm just telling you that I think that there's a chance that if he has a mediocre season that the fans may want to fire him, even though I don't think they should, is Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. Now, listen, it's hard to get a good read on Brian Kelly and the way that the Notre Dame fans feel about him because he's won a lot of games there. Well, he just went to the college football playoff in this past year. But Notre Dame fans want to win playoff games. They want to win national titles. They haven't won one in 30-something years. So now I think that Notre Dame is probably one of the hardest places to coach in all of America because of where it's located and the academics. It's hard to recruit there. Now, they may tell you it's not hard to recruit there because they're right in the middle of the country and they can pull from every coast. I'm telling you, it's a lot easier to recruit players in the hotbeds like Florida and Georgia and Tennessee and Louisiana and Texas if you're in the Southeast. It just is. These players, they may be great players and they may want to go to a great place like Notre Dame, but they also want to stay in the South, a lot of them. They want to stay close to home, and it matters. So it just does. But I think there's a chance that if Brian Kelly only wins 8 games next year or something, that there's going to be a lot of people out there that do want to move on from him. And he may leave on his own to go to the NFL or something. Who knows? Number 4 on the list, Will Muschamp, the University of South Carolina. Now, look, I don't know. This at the end of this season, after the way that their season ended, okay, and they only ended up winning 7 games, and their terrible loss in the bowl game. They got crushed again by Clemson, even though they feel like they did good, but they still got beat by 3 touchdowns. They lost to Kentucky again. They lost to Texas A&M again. They lost to Georgia again. It's just like there's going to come a time where the South Carolina fans eventually get sick of Will Muschamp. Now, the part of the reason I think that he's a good candidate for being on the hot seat after this next season is because if you looked at their schedule, it's probably the toughest schedule they've had in a decade. They play 3 of the top 5 programs in America next year: Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia. Of course, they also still play Texas A&M, and they still have to play Florida. I mean, it's just a brutal, brutal schedule for them. So if they only win 6 games, or God forbid, they miss a bowl somehow, lose to Kentucky again or something. Because I'm counting Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, and Texas A&M as losses off the bat. Okay, so that's 4 losses. That puts you at 8. Now, if you drop another, let's say you drop one to Florida, that's 5 losses. You might drop another one to somebody else you're not supposed to. Who knows? But you get what I'm saying. But this is the first time since he's been there, because ever since he's been there, most Gamecock fans, they have been having this guy's back, man. I mean, I've been saying I don't think he's a good coach since they hired him. I gave all my reasons why. I'm not going to go over all that again. But the reality is that even at South Carolina, they want to compete for SEC East and SEC titles at some point. And winning 7 games and winning 6 games and winning 8 games and only winning 9 games one time, and that's sort of like the beacon of hope, it's just not enough. And so, listen, this is the first time after this season that I've actually heard Gamecock fans start to say, you know what, I'm not so sure about this guy after all. So we'll see. But the schedule does not work in Will Muschamp's favor, that's for sure. So he better hope he wins some games he's not supposed to if he wants to keep his job. Number 5 on the list. Now, this is one that I would put on the hot seat after next year if they don't do well, but I don't think that they will. And that's Justin Fuente from Virginia Tech. He's going into his, 5th year there? 4th year, either 4th or 5th year. They have been regressing instead of progressing since he got there. Last year was one of the worst Virginia Tech teams in the past 30 years. I mean, just awful. Awful, awful. They have supposedly one of the top 5 defensive coordinators in the history of football, Bud Foster, and they fielded one of the worst defenses statistically in the entire country, not just in the ACC. So Justin Fuente needs to get things done. Now, I actually have family, extended family, right outside of Blacksburg. So I spend a lot of time in Virginia. My wife's family's from up in that area. And so I talk with actual Virginia Tech fans that are in that area, and they don't think that no matter what, he's going to be fired. I mean, listen, they had, what's his name, Beamer for 100 years. They're just one of those schools that does not move on from coaches very often. Sort of like the Steelers in the NFL. The Steelers, when they hire a head coach, he's the head coach for 20 years if he wants to be. And that seems to be the way that Virginia Tech works, all right? And so although I think that they probably won't fire him, there will be at least a sector of that fan base that will be calling for him to be fired if they only win 6 or 7 games next year and don't compete for that coastal division, which is the worst of the 2 divisions in the ACC. So we'll see. All right, now some obvious ones. These are the honorable mention ones, okay? The ones that I was saying that I think will be good candidates for the hot seat in 2020, the following year, based on what they do in 2019. Number 1, Jim Harbaugh. I put him in the same sort of situation as Brian Kelly and Justin Fuente, whereas I think that Jim Harbaugh can be the coach at Michigan for as long as Jim Harbaugh wants to be the coach at Michigan. But listen, with the departure of Urban Meyer in retirement, this is his time to win the Big Ten. He's come close. Now, he came really close this past season. Couldn't get it done. Now he doesn't have an excuse. Urban Meyer's gone. So you got to do it now. Now's the time. Now, if they don't win the Big Ten, but they still go to a New Year's Six bowl game or whatever, he probably won't be fired. Okay? But I guarantee you there's going to be starting to be some very, very impatient Michigan fans if he doesn't win the Big Ten next year, especially if he doesn't beat Ohio State. That's 2 things you've got to do at this point. The amount of money they're paying this guy, the name recognition he's got, he should be able to recruit and win that division at some point and beat Ohio State at some point. Has not done it, so we'll see. Next on the list, I heard somebody in the chat mention it. I think it was Billy Dawson said Gus Malzahn. Now, I think Gus Malzahn is possible that he could be fired after this next season and not in 2020 if they can afford to pay him out. This is the thing. This is the reason that Will Muschamp and Gus Malzahn, they give these guys, they have one good season or something, and then they give these guys massive, long-term, massive deals, 6-year deals worth tons of money. And then so what ends up happening is if they crap the bed, like Malzahn did last year and like Will Muschamp did last year, they can't afford to fire the guy. Unless some booster wants to come out of $30 million out of his pocket, which who wants to do that? Even rich guys don't want to give away $30 million. Come on now. But anyway, Malzahn, he has a chance to redeem himself. Problem is, he's in the same division as Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU. I mean, it's looking bleak down there. It's going to be hard for Gus Malzahn to compete for the West and definitely compete for the SEC. So good luck to him. But he may be on his way out at the end of next year, if not definitely in 2020 once they can afford to do it. The next one, a 2020 candidate, Chip Kelly. Now, did anybody think that when Chip Kelly went to UCLA that UCLA had a chance of being good? Now, listen, they were terrible before he got there, but he went there. And we all know how Chip Kelly is, right? Or at least some of you know how he is. He doesn't have the best personality. He's not a very you know how they use the term players coach? That guy's a players coach, like Dabo Swinney. All the players love him, love to play for him. You ever heard anybody say Chip Kelly's a players coach? No. You want to know why? Because he has the personality of a tree, and a lot of people just don't like him. They think he's a smug jerk. So anyway, Chip Kelly goes in there. Last year, they were one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. What did they win, like 4 games? I mean, they were terrible and awful. So they're like, okay. When he got hired sort of in the middle of the recruiting cycle, so he didn't really get to sign a lot of players. Because of the early signing period, by the time Chip Kelly was hired, he didn't get to recruit. All the players were signed. All the big-time guys were signed in the state of California. So we'll give him a pass on year 1. And he's installing a new system and all this stuff. Give him a pass. So then they're like, okay, let's see what he can do with recruiting with his big name in the hotbed of L.A., California, with his first year of full recruiting. Wah, wah. They finished in the 50s. The 50s. The 50s. Now, look, I'm not saying this should have been a top 10 or even top 15 class, but, sir, you've got to do better than the 50s if you plan on doing anything at UCLA. So, I don't know. I think Chip Kelly probably when he took that job told the people there, the athletic director, and the boosters and everybody, he probably said, look, I'm going to rebuild this thing from the ground up in my own image, and don't look to be for any results within 3 or 4 years. I want 5 years, and if you don't give me at least 5 years, then don't even think about giving me this job because I don't want it. That's what I'm guessing happened. So I don't think he's getting fired after next year. I don't care if they don't win a football game. I don't think he's going to get fired. But if this goes on for 3 years, in recruiting and the product on the field, then I think he'll be gone. So Chip Kelly on there. Now here's the last one for and I'm not so sure about this one, but this is sort of the same as Chip Kelly. It's Kevin Sumlin at Arizona. Now I don't know what to make of this here. Arizona was not a bad football team in the Pac-12. Under Rich Rodriguez. Now, I know there was a scandal and a lot of crap fell apart there, and Rich Rod got, blackballed and all that other stuff. And Sumlin came in there and kind of tried to pick up the pieces, but he had a Heisman candidate quarterback as a starting quarterback, and he made the guy look like one of the worst quarterbacks in America within a matter of a month. I mean, this guy was in the top 5 of every Heisman list, Khalil Tate, going into last season, and Khalil Tate comes out there looking like me trying to play quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats. It was pitiful and embarrassing. And so I don't know what he's trying to do over there. Maybe he's just trying to change the offense completely. But when you have an athlete like that, that's that special, and you make him look that bad, that's a big red flag, man. Big red flag. So I don't know. Kevin Sumlin, I give him maybe 2 or 3 years. And listen, what are the expectations at Arizona anyway? It's not like you have to win 12 games every year or 11 games for people to be happy. But, sir, you've got to do better than what we saw last year. It was awful. Listen, Kansas, they had a more exciting offense than Arizona did last year. So that concludes my list. Anybody, do you think I missed anybody? Let me know. What's up, Alan V? Alan V says, Chip Kelly is stealing money. Place him in jail immediately. Lovey Smith. That's a good one, Bradley Aarons. I'm comparing Pac-12 defenses to Big 12 defenses. Well, honestly, sir, the Pac-12 defenses are worse statistically than the Big 12 defenses are. The Pac-12 defenses allow more points, believe it or not, allow more yards, just almost every category. And I didn't even think that. I thought that the Big 12 was far and away the worst defensive conference in the country until you look at the numbers. The Pac-12 is worse and worst offenses and defense. They're the worst conference. I mean, even if you think the ACC is terrible, right? The ACC is here and the Pac-12 is here. I mean, that's how bad they are. So, if anything, a coach like Kevin Sumlin should be able to, coming from the SEC, should be able to have a much better success in a conference like the Pac-12 right now. So, I'm waiting for the Hugh Freeze sex scandal at Liberty. Oh, yeah, Hugh Freeze. Yeah. Hold on, let me see if anybody's calling in right now. Give me Hugh Freeze. Now, how does this guy get a job at a Christian school? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that's like hiring Bill Clinton to be the president of a beauty contest and expecting him not to grope the women. You kidding me? A bad move. Oh, crap. I hit the wrong button. All right, here. I got a call on the line. See who this is. Good afternoon. You're on with Pigskin Pete. Hello? Hello? Yeah. It says you're on the line, sir. Can you hear me? Sophia? All right, well, try to call back in. Looks like you've been on the line for 2 minutes. All right, I just had to drop the call because I don't know what's going on there. Anyway. Looks like somebody wanted to talk about Clemson football. Oh, yeah, the Hugh Freeze thing. Oh, man. Oh, what was that all about? I guess the guy's trying to reestablish his image, and he thinks by going to his Christian school he's going to do that or something. But I mean, listen, what went on at Ole Miss is, I don't know how you come back from that. I really don't. If you're a head coach, I just don't know how you come back from that. As far as coaching in major college football again, he might bounce around in the FCS or whatever, maybe even a Group of 5 team at some point. I don't see him getting back as a head coach of an SEC school or even an ACC school or any school in the Power 5. I don't see it. Maybe a coordinator. Somebody said, Lovie Smith. Ole Miss has gotten the postseason back. Yes, that starts this season, right, Eagle? So that's good for them. That's good for their recruiting. What's up, Jazzy TV? How you doing, sir? Says, much love, man. At work, about to drive home. Keep working hard and getting those subs up. Everyone like this video. Pigskin Pete is the man, especially for college football. Thank you, sir. I couldn't have said it any better myself. You are amazing and fantastic. Everybody go check him out. He's a Bengals YouTube maker. What's up, George? Let me go back here and see if I can if that guy called back in. I apologize if anybody's trying to call and they're not getting in. I don't know why. But maybe he just was preoccupied and couldn't get on the phone or something. He's on hold. It's all good. All right. Master of Dreams in the house says Florida is better than Clemson. In what? Ping pong, sir? Florida's only program in history that schedules 85% of their games at home and still goes 6-6 and 7-5, says T. Vodka drinker, there's just a lot of pressure on day to win. It's the worst job in the world to follow a Hall of Fame coach. I agree with that. I do agree with that. But I do think that was a good hire for them in such a in an environment where you're almost required to win immediately. It's good to hire from within, from somebody who knows the program. The players all know them. It's not a big, huge it's not a rebuild. It's just sort of a changing of the guard type situation. So there's nobody better on that team that they could have hired as far as replacing Urban Meyer than Ryan Day. in my opinion. Now, you will see the offense change, though. And you actually started to see that last year with Haskins. Because Urban Meyer, I mean, he ran a spread system similar to like what Clemson runs. And a lot of these teams run. But he loved to run the quarterback. His team was predicated on running the quarterback, of course, running with the running backs, and then doing like play action pass off of that. Now, Ryan Day, he likes to pass more than he likes to run, and he doesn't like to run the quarterback. So it's going to be different. You're going to see a lot more stats, passing yards wise. The receivers are going to rack up yards, and we'll see what Justin Fields is able to do, because Justin Fields is definitely a more capable runner than Dwayne Haskins was. The question is Justin Fields as good of a passer as Dwayne Haskins was? And I think that he can be. I mean, he was a great passer in high school. Now, I'm not saying he will be in college, but he's definitely got the talent to be one. So we'll see. Dan Mullen is not the answer at Florida. You'll find out pretty quick. I don't know, man. Boy, it's too early to say that. What's up, JC69? You missed me. I took off today to watch the Pigskin Pete show. Hey, Pete, what's up? Hey, Pete. I mean, hey, JC69. How you doing, sir? Master of Dreams says we can beat Clemson. No, you can't, sir. Sorry. We'll find out. I'll tell you what. Here's what you do. There's only one way to settle this argument, sir. Get to the playoff. Or no, forget the playoff. Forget the playoff. Win your division. Win the SEC. Then get to the playoff. And then you'll have your chance to beat Clemson. But you got to do those three things first, sir. It's going to be a long road, my friend. Hint of pressure on Kirby. I've heard the water is definitely getting warm for Kirby. I don't know why that would be. He's accomplished more at Georgia than Rick did in a decade. Listen, I'm not saying that's not true, but I got to say though, if that is true, then the Georgia fans have completely lost their mind. I mean, they're recruiting in the top 3 every year with him. They're going to the playoffs. They're competing for SEC titles. I mean, what? Yeah. I mean, I just don't see it. What's up, First Down? Clemson's not winning the ACC. Florida State is. Well, listen, sir. If that's supposed to be a troll job, then it's an extremely bad one. At least be a little bit more realistic. Eagle says, I would love to see Tennessee versus Clemson because of the all-orange. We tried to schedule. Listen, who did we end up with? I think we ended up with. I'm talking about like 5 years down the road. It's not like next year or anything, but I think we ended up with LSU. So we've got Georgia in a home-and-home series in like 2021 and 2022, and then I think the year after that series is over, we do a home-and-home with LSU. If I'm not mistaken, we extended an offer out to Tennessee, and I'm not sure what happened with that. That still may happen, later on, even further down the road. But it's not. Here's the other thing: is that people are like, "Oh, why don't you schedule this school? Why don't you schedule that school?" Clemson goes out their way to schedule big-time SEC schools every single year, out of conference every year. But people think that you could just call up a school and say, "Hey, we want to play you," and then that's how it works. No, first of all, they have to accept the offer if you want to play them. Then it has to. You already have conference schedules and other games scheduled. It has to work out for both teams schedule-wise for it to fit into a certain week. So it doesn't always work out as easy as people think it does to schedule at a conference. But, the best thing is to do is just to do your best and throw a bunch of offers out there to a bunch of teams, good teams out of conference. And if you throw out 5 offers and you snag 2 of them, or 2 or 3 of them, then that's about as good as you're going to get. Would Clemson schedule a home-and-home with Alabama? I'm sure they probably would. I think they would. I really think that. I think that they would schedule a home and home with literally anybody. Although I'm not so sure exactly how much that would benefit either team. Especially since, listen, people are already tired of seeing them play each other in the postseason. You imagine how tired they'd be of seeing them play in the regular season and twice in 1 year? Alan V says, I can't wait to meet Pete on the UGA Clemson home and home. Well, that'll be fun, sir. Yes, that'll definitely be a game I go to. What's up, Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow? How you doing, sir? Welcome to the show. There's a lot of people that want to meet me at the game, sir. But they don't want to meet me for the same reason you want to meet me. They want to meet me because they think they're going to kick my ass, or at least that's what they say they're going to do. But, yeah, it's not going to happen, I promise. Christopher Goodrich in the house. Let me check them and see if anybody's on the line here. If nobody's called in here in a minute, then I'm going to go ahead and shut it down because I've got some Valentine's stuff to get ready for here. All right, listen, I got somebody on the line here. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. Either people are calling in and not talking. Or something's wrong with this thing. Because I didn't have this problem with the first caller. So. Yeah. All right, well. That's got to be a problem on my end. I don't know what it was because there was no problem with the first call, but I'm just going to shut down the call-in studio. If it's not working correctly, I hate for people to be wasting their time and calling in and sitting on hold, and then for me to not be able to hear them. So I don't know. I'll figure it out after I get offline. So I apologize to anybody. To anybody who was on the that called in. If you could hear me and I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But I'll figure it out. And if you could hear me but weren't talking, then shame on you, sir. I'm just kidding. All right. Ramon Jordan says, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. I'm sorry, dude. I apologize. It just must have been a technical difficulty. I haven't had that problem before. That call-in studio thing has always been very, very easy to use. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Listen, I apologize for anybody that did call in. It doesn't really matter because I kind of got to get off here anyway. This wasn't going to be a long stream today. I've been on for 40 minutes, but I got to get off. So thank you to everybody who called in, commented, said nice things, said terrible things, everything in between. You're all amazing and fantastic. And, of course, shout out to Billy Dawson, Tiger Nation, and, of course, Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow for signing up for the Patreon. That contest goes to March 1st. Sign up for Tier 1, you get 1 entry. Sign up for Tier 2, you get 2 entries. Sign up for Tier 3, you get 3 entries. And I'll do a drawing on March 1st for a $50 Visa card. Also, thank you to the Super Chat members for the contest of this month. That also ends on March 1st. So far, we have NASA CGI Snakes, Alan V, Tiger Nation, Billy Dawson, Catfish, Hound Dog, Dondre Crawford, Small Vol, NMD TV, the Entertainer Talking Sports, and Spencer from Rover Sports have all donated through Super Chat this month, and they are all entered into that contest, and you still have time to do that and any live stream between now and then. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, set your timer, set your Casio watch, Tattoo it on your forehead if you have to, but if you tattoo it on your forehead, make sure you tattoo it backwards so that when you look in the mirror, it reads correctly. I will be doing a live call-in show with none other than Mr. Bad Dog 7676 himself. So I'm really looking forward to getting up with him. I've been trying to do it for several weeks now, and of course, it's not always easy to schedule guests on a show. So tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, be there or be square. Thank you, all of you. You're all amazing and fantastic. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete. Oh, and have a great Valentine's, too. And I hope everybody gets some tonight, if you know what I'm saying. Pigskin Pete, checking out.